Well, Trump just won the election. Let's talk about it. Now, I think at this point, everybody has seen or heard about the assassination attempt on former president and primary Republican nominee Donald J. Trump. And the fucking internet is taking some really weird stances, right? Donald Trump was hosting a rally, and during that rally, shots rang out, and he was struck in the ear either by a bullet or I've seen reports of shrapnel, of a piece of broken glass. I can't seem to find a concrete answer on the two, but right now it looks like he was shot in the ear. And here's the thing, right? Assassination attempts are only successful if they're successful. If you fuck up, it has almost the exact opposite effect, right? And that's why I say he won this election. This photo right here, I think has handed him the job. The Biden debate was awful. You know, that was tragic, right? Somehow more chaotic and awful than the assassination attempt. If they're successful, they're successful. The candidate can't run. However, if you fuck up, right? If you miss your shot, you've done the exact opposite. You've created so much hype amongst his followers, and you probably brought over some other people too with that. I think really what the nail of the coffin is, I mean, look at this photo, dude. I've said it before, you know, like I'm not a MAGA guy. I'm certainly more supportive of Trump right now during this election than I am Biden. But like you've done the exact opposite of what you wanted. You've single-handedly handed this man the most iconic photo of any president ever taken. It's so good that it looks like propaganda, right? Just a little bit. You know me, I'm a good conspiracy nut guy. I like conspiracies. So initially, like, when this was all going down, the first thing I thought about was this was fake, right? Because I've always said from the beginning, even since his last election, the only thing that Donald Trump like truly needs is an assassination attempt and to look hard afterwards. I've said this for like 8 years, dude. If he wants to win, that's what he needs. And that's what he got, dude. You're about to see this photo on every t-shirt, every truck, every bumper sticker of every hard right-leaning individual in America. Like when I saw the mugshot photo taken here in Fulton County in Atlanta, I thought that's probably the most iconic photo we'll ever get of a president. Like in the midst of running a campaign, slapped on a bunch of felonies, and he went to jail to take his mugshot. Like him or hate him, that's pretty fucking hard. I thought there's no way they could top this. And then some dude who looks like a flat-nosed school bus tries to shoot him. And misses. Truly what Trump needs to do for his next move, if it's a debate, if it's a speech, whatever it is, he needs to walk up with a bulletproof vest on, listen to Many Men by 50 Cent. That's it. That is his next move. For anybody that was on the line that's like, oh, Trump or Biden, you know, I think that this probably pushes them over, right? We saw this with Roosevelt. We saw this with Reagan. We didn't really see this with JFK, but the point is that we now have possibly the most thug president we've ever had. Convicted felon, and he's been shot. And I'm gonna go ahead and address what I believe is the elephant in the room for me, is the fact that he was wearing a Demolition Ranch t-shirt. I don't really know what to make of that. I don't know if it puts it more towards a conspiracy in my head or not, or maybe just like that's the shirt that he chose that day. I think Matt, when he shared it, was the first person I saw it from. I don't think it changes anything. I just hate to see someone who was doing something so terrible was wearing a buddy of mine's brand. So yeah, there was a couple of things that made me think kind of conspiracy, right? You know, I like a good conspiracy. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like, what's the CIA been up to lately? And if you don't think that the CIA would do something like this, just Google the CIA. But I'm not sure if I see this as a conspiracy just yet. A lot of people are saying that this was a hoax, that this was all completely fake, and I would probably agree with them at certain points because the photo is too good. But he's at a media conference, right? He's at a rally. There's tons of people with cameras and photography, like that's their job, is in the moment to capture crazy things like that. And you're probably thinking, Dan, do you really think that some guy would risk everything so he could get one really cool shot? And the answer is yes, abso-fucking-lutely. Have you ever met a YouTuber or a content creator or a journalist? That's just how mainstream media is today. Anything for the shot, anything for the video, anything for the content. Do it for the vine. This guy took it a little too seriously and ended up with some hollow points in his watermelon, but we move on. So I think there are a couple of things that are weird about the situation. There were multiple people telling law enforcement that there was a guy on the roof, right? It's not like he wasn't seen. People saw him get up there. There were people telling law enforcement just moments before he started shooting that this was going on, and no one seemed to care. That's suspicious. I also find it kind of weird that he got a couple of shots off before the snipers took him down. He was also on the only roof within a couple of 100 feet. You'd think that the Secret Service would have taken precaution, right? But at the same time, we gotta look at this objectively. In a combat situation, and that's what this was. This was a combat situation. Bullets were fired, gunfire was exchanged. That's combat. not everything goes according to plan. If you're Donald Trump's personal sniper, you probably get bored of not shooting people. He's been running now for like, what, this is like his 8th or 9th year running. So you're in the middle of Trump territory during a Trump rally and you think, there's no way. There's people getting checked at the door, get a nice sniper vantage position. There's no way someone would be dumb enough to try to kill somebody here. And he did, he hurt people. He killed somebody, and I think he also, besides Trump, shot somebody else and injured somebody else. And that's one of the things that make me think that it's not a hoax, is that other people were hurt and killed. But that's not to say that the government or other people aren't above hurting innocent civilians in order to gain political power. Just Google the CIA, or maybe not. As well as if he was shot, I think the shooter was somewhere around 190 feet away. If the shooter's intention was just to maim Trump, hitting his ear at almost 200 feet is insanely hard. So I do think the attempt was real. I think the fact that other people died doesn't exclude it from being fake, but I think in this situation, I mean, with the shooter dying and random people dying behind him, the gun was at least real, the bullets were at least real, and the people who died were real. I mean, people saw it live on TV. And I don't know the validity of this photo, I just keep seeing it shared around a lot, but there is somehow a screen grab of a bullet whizzing directly behind his head. That's insane. That is insane. And I think what's really gonna set it up for me is like when we get the grassy knoll shots, right? When we get the top-down layout of where Trump was and where the shooter was and where our snipers were, I think once we see that from like a top-down perspective, I think then I would understand the shootout a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, there is no faster way to get put down than trying to shoot a previous president, or a current running one, or anybody that is under the protection of the government. That is a one-way ticket to Hollow Point City, dude. And when you know, he takes the shot and then Secret Service pile on him. Very weird too. Instead of rushing him off the stage, they all just kind of body covered him, which I've never seen, you know, a president that gets shot at in an assassination attempt. We've seen that on the internet. There's tons of other countries that have their own private security. And as soon as shots are fired, they're not only are they covering the person that's under fire, they're rushing them away. Now, there are a couple of factors that in my mind would make it so they don't rush him off. One was that they dispatched the shooter almost immediately. I think he got like 3 or 4 shots off, maybe 5, in quick succession. But then our guys shot him, and they were like, shoot her down. Not to mention that Trump is probably kind of a stubborn asshole sometimes, let's be real. They tried to rush him off the stage, they tried to push him around, and he was like, no, because he's a showman. Right? He knows fucking TV. I have to get this shot for Instagram. I've just been shot by an assassin. I have to pose the fuck up. Bro literally Fortnite emoted mid-combat. That's ballsy, man. That's a ballsy move, and is quite possibly the most Trump thing I've ever heard. So like, you know, you can only do so much. I think what they should have done is immediately handed him the microphone. As soon as they were like, the shooter's down, just let him start ad-libbing, dude. Let him freestyle. He missed his mark. If I was an assassin, I wouldn't have missed my mark. I hit my mark every time. They look at my record, they say, wow, what a good assassin you are, President Trump. I'm the best. They said he was using small bullets, the smallest they'd ever seen. Me, personally, if it was me, I would have used big bullets, the biggest, and I wouldn't have missed. JFK's head could only handle one little bullet. Mine handled a bullet, and I walked away. Obama, his ears are so big, he would have heard the bullet coming. He would have dodged it. But I tell you what, man, I certainly am tired of living through these historical events. I'm over it, dude. Please stop giving us these really cool one-off historical events. And I'm personally, for one, I'm very surprised that me and our generation and the people who are younger witnessed an assassination attempt on a president. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, Trump, whether or not he wins, he was still a president. And I always thought, you know, I was like, Trump talks enough shit to where someone would probably want to shoot him, but I never thought someone would try. I don't think I actually did. Mostly because this generation is too soft for assassinations. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're not assassins. You guys don't look like taking your orders at restaurants or answering the phone. You're gonna be an assassin? And let me make one thing clear if you've made it this far in the video. I think political violence in any capacity is wrong. Even if you don't like the guy, I think it's fucking wrong. I don't like Biden. I think he's a shitty guy, but I certainly wouldn't want to see him shot. I would not want to see that. Honestly, all you had to do if you didn't want Trump to win was to not vote for the guy. Now you've given him the ammo. If I was him, I would be changing that photo to my Facebook, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my TikTok, whatever the fuck Trump has. That should be the photo, because that's a hard fucking photo. Like him or hate him, that is a hard photo. I'd be saying the same thing about Biden too. If Biden's earlobes got clipped, albeit there's probably enough Botox in his face to have stopped the bullet, but he takes one to the ear and he stands up and he fist pumps, I'd be like, that's badass, dude. But Biden would have probably have passed out from the heat that day. So I genuinely think what we saw here was probably a lack of communication amongst the security teams. I just think it was something that was like so left field that nobody expected. Some goober with an AR would have tried to shoot President Trump on like a relatively level building that you could see on, I mean, like the whole thing is just goober city. This guy probably drew his plans on like a Denny's napkin with a crayon. I think Secret Service kind of dropped the ball. I think what we saw was Secret Service dropping the ball in a situation that they thought that we were prepared for, but also thought would never happen. I bet it'll change the way they do things now, though. I bet that shit has changed. And you know Hillary is pissed. But that's what happens, man. That's what happens when you hire assassins on Fiverr, bro. That was a quiet dinner at Bill and Hillary's. But I think this has definitely solidified Trump's position as president during this election. I think that after the debates was one thing, but now on top of this, I mean, come on. It is very interesting times that we live in, my dudes. But on that note, stay safe, stay happy, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Obama.